From a result point of view, heavy score. But I think it is only proper for me to reflect on what we just checked in the dressing room with regards to the summary. And in all honesty, this may guide us or maybe become something that you say, okay, let's look at the numbers in terms of goals that we considered. It's heavy. Pirates had 19 shots, we had 10. On target, they had 13, we had 5. Possession 56, we were 44. Passes, they made 497, we made 388. Accuracy of passes, they made 82%, we are on 80. Fouls, they committed 11, we are on 9. Yellows, 3-1. Reds, nothing and all that. Corners, we had 6, they had 3. Now, when you look at these stats and look at the score, you then say to yourself, yes, you have to feel bad. Nobody wants to lose by a margin of 6 goals. But again, you have to be more out of your emotions and be more in your thinking and say, were we really that bad? Performance-wise, not really. In terms of goals, mistakes we committed, I think we were disastrous. If you look at just before they scored, we had a chance. Malinga fluffed that. They took it, they went on, they scored. There's a stage where first half, I think, there were 3 clear-cut chances, big chances, that you say score those, makes a big difference. Maybe you go into dressing room 3-3, so be it, let it be a match. And also there's a ball that came from the keeper. Ungus, the striker, could have controlled and put in the net, but he just placed it. Negasi Bieka left. You count many of them. Now, I'm not trying to justify that we lost by 7 goals, but we don't deserve. We made mistakes. We needed to be punished. But I thought we could have taken our goals as well. Why can't it be 7-6 or 7-7? It was a high-scoring match with lots of chances. But again, I got the feeling that our team started giving in terms of energy towards the end. It's not easy to play at Orlando. It's soft. And as it rained earlier on, and we're just coming back from 2 hectic matches. We played SuperSport, where we were 2-0 down. We had to dig deep and make it 2-2. We had just played Richards Bay, and we know how powerful Richards Bay can be. So from a physical point of view, even before we got into this hectic week, in our planning, we're saying, can we pull it through 3 big matches back-to-back within a short space of time? But that it should be 7-1, nobody would have liked to hear that. And we regret that we considered so many. And one has to go back and look into the players' eyes, be more objective, and move away from emotions. Because if I were to be emotional and start ranting and pointing a whole lot of other mistakes we committed, then one would be killing them and you need them in the next match. So I think we just regret the fact that we didn't take our chances and we allowed just too many simple chances we could have dealt with to happen. And I thought on the side we're a bit open. Mufukeng had a field day. On the other side as well, Udlamini was having his fun. There was also Maswanganye. And I thought the way we wanted to defend or scheme up in terms of controlling the movement and how they overload the center, there were moments where I felt we started giving in. And there's no way Pirates will let you off the hook if you give them wide spaces. That's where they play. And immediately they break wide with speed. Mabasa will join that box. He's as quick as anything. And he can go near post, he can touch the ball. Then you're facing a phenomenon where your defenders get turned. Then they have to face their own goalkeeper. It's just a pity again, we considered a stupid goal from corner kick, something that we work on. You can point at a million of these, but listen, one has to sit here and say, congratulations to Orlando Pirates. Golden Arrows, go back, look at yourself, but also don't be too hard on yourself. Look at stats and align yourself. And again, we're playing Orlando Pirates in all honesty. And obviously, looking at how they had been coming, they wouldn't have made it easy for us. They wanted it badly, in as much as we did too. So we just have to go to the dressing room and talk to the players and lift them up and go to the next one.
Thank you, Coach. I will now open for questions from the floor as per norm. We've got roving mics. Please identify yourself as well as the media company you represent prior to asking the question. We'll start with you, Mazo and Lawrence.
Thanks, Lady T. Coach Steve Komphela from SABC Sport.
Yes, so.
Your press conference now measured, looking at the stats, the numbers. I'm just interested to find out, was it as measured in the dressing room? Because obviously the heat of the moment, or did you have to take a moment? Because yes, in the bigger scheme of things, it's 3 points lost, but also it's quite a heavy scoreline on the back of what you've done in the games leading up.
Yeah, I think in the dressing room at halftime, we had to be more rational. Football is a game of emotions. And if sometimes you allow these to get to your heart than the head, you make mistakes. And again, understanding that I've only been with this team. I started on the 7th of April. It hasn't been even the 7th of May. And I'm working with players whom I've worked with before, others we started to work together. I can't be too hard on them. But fact remains, they know things we worked on. So, and when those do not happen, because the biggest point we reflected on was how we're a bit loose and allowing runners behind us, people getting behind our defense, especially penetrating from the sides. Mufugeng could just get behind Ulukele. As we looked more naive and nonchalant in terms of tracking and realizing the space. Instead, we stepped out, opening the space, allowing Masangani to spin and all that, the other side the same. So we needed to be more matured and be aware. Don't allow the space on the sides. Don't step out, you're creating space behind. So we aligned those. And then the other alignment that we needed to do was how we were trying to attack. We allowed Pirates to solve the problem with ease without posing a bigger threat. But in moments where we managed to pose a threat the way we wish, we came out. And I thought with utmost humility, Arrows did play some good football. We came out in certain moments. You could see that they were intentional about what they're doing. And what else can you do, Zo? It is what it is. Just go back and work with players again. Whether you scream or you break bottles or whatever, it won't help. There are moments where you have to break bottles when there's an issue of attitude or complacency. But when you see people trying, and mistakes are mistakes because these are genuine mistakes, even though they're mistakes that are unforgivable, you try assist. Your job as a coach is to help them identify areas and try resolve and try guide and lead and show the way. That's what we do.
Coach, you said something interesting about it rained before the game, and it caused the pitch to be quite slippery. A couple of weeks ago, Hungry Lions coach said the same thing. He said
who said that?
Hungry Lions coach a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
He said their players just never got used to the skid of the pitch, and your players didn't look comfortable, especially your defenders. Do you think that did play a role because they kind of look nervous on the ball at times?
Hoping that doesn't come as an excuse. But these things happen. When we played Super Sport, we played in Mpumalanga. It's at night, there's dew, it's misty, and you know how KZN can be. To an extent where the ground looks like it rained. We should be used to these conditions. And the equipment we use, you've got all kind of boots. You should adapt to this. But yeah, indeed, the surface is soft. If you step on this park, even Pirates will tell you it's soft. But there were moments where we slipped, we couldn't control the ball. And those moments, they invite, Pirates obviously plays you under pressure. They hurry you up so that you can make technical errors. Now that is compounded by the surface. You can imagine, not that they were heavy, but they couldn't just take the right decisions. We don't play at high speed, but Pirates plays at quite a speed. So if you are up against a team that forces you to play at high speed, you require a good technical ability and composure. So if you lack that technical ability because of conditions and you are rushed to play at high speed, you're going to commit those errors. But you need to be stubborn enough to play your way, because you can imagine then we have to hoof the ball away, and when you kick that ball away, you're giving it to Orlando Pirates to come at you again. We tried and tried, but I think second half got a little bit better. Though first half, it wasn't as bad, Lawrence. But yes, indeed, there were moments where you realize, especially in our build-up play, where we needed to find an overload on the right, maybe from Zuke. And even there's a goal we considered. Was it goal number 3 or 4? Yeah, goal number 3, where we wanted to build from the corner, but we played the ball square. Under normal circumstances, with a better surface, without blaming the surface, we should be coming out nice and clean. But you can't blame them. You can't blame anybody. You can't blame the field. They must play under such conditions. That's football for you. Yes, sir.
Karabo from Supersport.
Yes, Karabo.
I'm just interested in the psychology of the players. Monday morning out in KZN, what do you do? Do you open an inquest? Is there post-mortem of this coach
No.
of this game? Do you also speak to them in regards to mentality? I mean, it's
No,
a
okay.
massive loss.
No, okay. There are certain things that you can't do anything about. You acknowledge their existence, and you move on. You can imagine if we were to dwell on something we cannot change. But yes, we are going to do a debrief. We are going to zoom into every goal that we considered, how we didn't stop that, and also get to see why couldn't we take advantage of the chances we had. So that analysis must be made. And it's very important as a coach as well, when you do that, it must be within the principles and the framework you have developed in terms of this is how we play, this is how we defend or attack, and in our defensive principles, why couldn't we deal with these challenges where we considered 7 goals? Okay. In terms of our offensive principles, why didn't we take advantage of the chance? It's one-on-one with the keeper. Those are things that, as you reflect on them and listen with rationale than emotions, they'll understand, but you don't have to overburden them. Already they're overburdened. They're not going to wake up tomorrow morning. You wake up in the morning and you know that, we lost. And we lost 7-1, even to Orlando Pirates. Doesn't feel good. Do you need more pressure from your coach? No, you don't. But you have to reflect and also respect the fact that it's unacceptable to concede so many goals and not take the chances you had. You did not only have 1 chance. You had more than enough, about 4. So take them. Take them.
Take the final 3 questions.
Coach Siasana here from the Sunday Road.
Shagas.
Hard luck on the beat. Coach, at full time, I saw you and Coach Jose having like a hearty moment there, handshake and a hug, and my stopwatch told me that it was a minute long. So just maybe.
Hey, strong Landot.
Just maybe if you may tell us a bit of that conversation or the details of that conversation.
Now you exchange ideas, man. You talk about the game. And what I always tell players is that after a victory, let's say Arrows wins, when the match comes to an end, you may be excited and feeling on top of the world, but you must understand that your counterpart on the other side is reeling. So your level of excitement has to be so measured that you do not offend the guy who just lost the match. So you need to be at a high level of maturity and awareness that you control your excitement and emotions. And it's not easy to control emotions. They just surpass any other logic. But the beauty of the conversation with Jose was more rational, dignified, with lots of respect. He came on and he reminded me about the match we played here when I was still at Moroka Solos. We had a small chat about that. And he also mentioned the difficulty they experienced and also said we should carry on doing the job because you can see what we're trying to do. And it is a project. There's still a long way to go. And to me, he came across as someone who understands that, yeah, Pirates was victorious, Pirates won, but the other team lost. And in all honesty, I normally throw myself in different zones. At moments like those, when people have to come and sympathize and all that, I'm out of that. I don't need any sympathies and all that. I'm matured enough to grow beyond the pain that you're going through. And instead, you have a responsibility then to manage the pain of the rest of the people you are leading. But I appreciate the talk and the chat. But the first thing that I understood was that my job was then to create some sort of a thinking for Pumlani Msibi post-match. I must create a way of responding without being emotional, also discussing with Mandla, Mabuti Kenyeza, Nomusa Pilankul. Coaches do not only prepare for a talk before the match. They don't only prepare for the match. They prepare for this after the match. So that's a match you play. You may win a match in 90 minutes as a coach and lose a match in the press conference. You have lost. So you need to be very careful to win the match before the match, pre-match, play the match, win the match, and go win post-match, because that's another match. There's many of my colleagues who would play a match, win a match, and lose a match in the press conference. You become disastrous. So you gotta be so smart and so aware, so matured that excitement must not mislead your thoughts that you end up saying stuff that is wrong. And depression as well. If you went through a result like this, must not make you start saying things that they say, what happened with him? Had he smoked something or what? Still have to be logical and make sense. But I found that he made a perfect submission in the discussion we had. I do talk to many of them. I spoke to Mandla, I spoke to the assistant coach, goalkeeper coach, the nice guys. And I'll do the same if we were to beat Pirates 7. But then you don't know how you will be received when you go on there. That's another thing.
Final question.
Thank you.
Good.
Coach, you need to tell Oli Cho's news.
Yes, sir.
Listen to you attentively. And I prepared a very, very juicy question.
May you, now I want to pay attention to the juicy question. May you start from scratch, please, so that I listen attentively?
From Oli Cho's news.
Yes, sir.
If I had to face you one-on-one in a corridor, I was going to say to you, Coach Steve, teasing of fire, an avalanche of goals, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, dashed. Where to from you?
Never. Never dashed. If we have to unpack that backwards, you'll end up with a question with answers that you never expected. We're still strong like anything. In fact, this to us was not a loss, but a lesson. And intrinsically, we are in control. Extrinsically, if we cannot control, we just move on and manage things as they come. Because nothing is lost. You can't be dashed, man. You can't. Football is out there to build you. And if you come across me in a corridor and you pose that question, hoping it is juicy, yeesh, we can dry it up and make it a scone. It will just be dry because, in all honesty, the stats as I put here, imagine 80% pass accuracy to 82, 497 passes to 388. There's not too big a difference, man. We got 6 corners, 3, but we got nothing. They scored from theirs. And then 7-1, yeah, that one is avalanche of goals. But could you have avoided that? I think we could have. Could we have scored ours? For sure, yes. Did we score them? No. So when you come out and unpack it, you realize that, okay, I don't want to say this because then it's going to make that thing not juicy. Let's leave it at the state of juice. When you look at it, you realize, it's, it fizzles, and then at the end of the day, there's nothing. Just came as fire from gas, and it's nothing. We move on, and we still carry on. I have a responsibility to talk to players and lift them up and go for the next match. We have to face Royal AM, honestly.